Welcome to New Zealand!
Ready to explore one of the most beautiful places on Earth? Welcome to New Zealand's South Island, a land of adventure, dramatic mountains and pristine lakes. Over the next week, we'll dive into everything this incredible region has to offer, from heart-pumping activities in Queenstown to the jaw-dropping beauty of Arrowtown Mount Cook National Park. Whether you're building your bucket list or planning your next big trip, this is your ultimate South Island itinerary. Flying into Queenstown from Australia on a clear day is without a doubt a spectacular sight as you pass over the Southern Alps. You get amazing views of this picture-perfect mountain range. The flight takes you over the town of Glenorchy and alongside the stunning Lake Wakatipu. Circling to the airport gives you a bird's eye view of Queenstown and the Kararau and Shotover rivers. In my opinion, there's not many better approaches to an airport. What a way to start 2 days in Queenstown. And it got even better when I discovered this view from my hotel room. With downtown Queenstown only a short 10-minute walk from the hotel, I headed straight into town to the lakefront to have a look around. Queenstown Bay and its beach is the ideal place to first experience the postcard scenery of Lake Wakatipu and the stunning surrounding mountains. People swim here during summer and there are water sport activities like stand-up paddleboards and kayaks which you can hire. The lakefront is a magnet for tourists and locals alike. It's a great place to go for a walk along the water's edge, sitting down and relaxing, or having something to eat with this magical view. I've been to Queenstown quite a few times and you don't always get weather like this, so I was going to make the most of this gorgeous day. The great thing about Queenstown is it's a great place to explore on foot as everything is close by. Walking further into town, you will find a number of jetties with tour operators and water sports centres. Keep walking along the lake's edge, you'll pass lots of local arts and crafts stalls, bars and restaurants. Queenstown is known as the adventure capital of New Zealand, and it's easy to see why, with parasailing, jet boating and paragliding happening all around you. There is also these really cool subs that go under the water. Another activity that I absolutely loved while I was in Queenstown was quad biking, especially after there had been some rain. But be warned, you will get absolutely covered in mud. Back to the Queenstown Wharf Walk, which takes you along the crystal clear waters of the lake and marina. Eventually, you will reach Steamer Wharf, which has a number of cool bars and restaurants. It's also where the steamship, the TSS Earnslaw, departs from, but more on that later in the video. A short walk along Lake Esplanade and you get to the perfect vantage point to look back across the lake into Queenstown with the remarkable mountains range in the background. If you're after somewhere to eat for lunch, you can't go to Queenstown and not try Ferg burgers. In fact, time spent waiting in the queue to order has become an essential Queenstown experience. I must have arrived at just the right time because I didn't have to wait too long and even managed to get a seat, but it didn't take long to get busy again. What makes Ferg so good is that they make everything themselves, from buns to sauces, and the burgers are truly delicious. They even expanded to create an ice cream and gelato shop called Mrs. Ferg's and a bakery called Ferg Baker. For the sweet tooths, you have to try Patagonia chocolates. Located on the Wakatipu lakefront, is the place to go for delicious handcrafted chocolates, locally roasted coffee, decadent desserts, and award-winning ice cream. This bad boy went down really well. After fueling up on a delicious Ferg burger, I headed up to Queenstown Skyline. The Skyline Gondola, which is the steepest cable car lift in the Southern Hemisphere, costs $59 for one return ride. You're welcome to board the gondola at any time during operating hours. I recommend booking online so you don't have to wait to buy a ticket. The gondola ride takes you up 480 metres to the top of Bob's Peak, offering amazing views of Queenstown and Lake Wakatipu. At the top there is the Stratosphere restaurant, which serves both lunch and dinner, a cafe and a gift shop. But what you're really here for is the view. And wow, what a view it is. If you're not sure what you are looking at, there is a map, but you get to see Walter Peak, Cecil Peak, the Remarkables, Coronet Peak, and of course down into Queenstown. Something else you can try, which is great for any age, is the Queenstown Luge. Part go-kart, part toboggan, it works using gravity. There's 1600 metres of track and a chairlift that gets you back to the top for another ride. It's about an extra $30 depending on how many rides you want, but this activity is super fun. I loved it. The views of Queenstown on the ride back down are just as spectacular as from the top. When you are in Queenstown, one thing you should try to fit into your itinerary is the exquisitely scenic drive to Glenorchy. It's packed full of gorgeous places to stop. The first place I recommend is Wilson's Bay. Wilson's Bay is about 10 kilometres from Queenstown. It's a beautiful spot with crystal clear waters and the impressive mountains surrounding it, including Walter Peak. It's a great place to go kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, sailing, or just relaxing. The road to Glenorchy from Queenstown along the shores of the mighty Lake Wakatipu is one of the most scenic drives in New Zealand, if not the world. It takes about 45 minutes each way without stops, but of course you will be stopping because the photo opportunities are endless. About 15 minutes from Wilson's Bay is Bennett's Bluff Lookout. It's well marked with a large parking lot and a small walking track to the lookout. It probably has the best views of Lake Wakatipu along the drive. From Bennett's Bluff Lookout, the drive and views just keep getting better. A few minutes down the road is Paradise Wharf, which is the remains of an old wooden jetty. This place is famous among photographers as the jetty makes an awesome foreground for the beautiful mountains in the background. From here it's about another 15 minutes to Glenorchy, but I did have to make one more stop to take this quintessential New Zealand scene of lush green grass, sheep and towering mountains. But the number one reason to drive from Queenstown to Glenorchy is to explore the pretty town of Glenorchy. In particular, the famous red railway shed and the beautiful old jetty on the lake. Make sure you walk to the end of the jetty. It provides a great vantage point to enjoy 180-degree views of the lake and surrounding mountains. And of course to get some beautiful photos. If you want to know some other awesome photography locations, check out my camper van video, which I will link below. A couple of bonus locations if you're in Glenorchy in spring and looking for lupins is along the Glenorchy Paradise Road at Precipice Creek. Make sure you check both sides of the road because you might have a nice blue sky looking the other way. The second location is just a bit further along at the Rees River Bridge viewpoint. Lupins, a glacial river and magnificent mountains. What more could you ask for? With the day coming to an end, you'll be looking for somewhere for dinner. One of my favourite places in Queenstown is Fat Badger's Pizzeria. Fat Badger's has a really relaxed vibe, cool murals and delicious pizza. And they are huge too. And yes, he ate it all. Just kidding, but most of it. One thing you can always count on in New Zealand is the weather changing daily, but don't let an overcast day stop you from exploring. If you're looking for a cool place for breakfast, check out Yonder on Church Street. It's really popular with locals, with great coffee and delicious food, in particular the pancakes, which is what I needed for what was coming up next. If you're after an adrenaline-filled fun adventure, then you have to try jet boating. And I definitely recommend Shotover Jet. Located less than 10 minutes drive from central Queenstown, Shotover Jet is situated on the Shotover River and is the only jet boat operator permitted in the Shotover Canyons. It costs 159 New Zealand dollars and the ride lasts 25 minutes, which may seem a little expensive, but it's well worth it. Make sure you wear sunglasses and a waterproof jacket because you will get wet. Reaching speeds of up to 90 kilometers an hour, the jet boat races along the spectacular Shotover River, taking you deep into the incredible canyons. These steep rock walls have been carved over thousands of years by billions of tons of fast-flowing river water from the heart of these southern Alps. The only way you can film this is using a GoPro on a head mount because you need to be hanging on the whole time with both hands. After the thrill of going through the canyon, the next best part is the 360-degree spins. The skill of the drivers is incredible as you are only a few feet from the canyon walls. It's truly an epic experience that I highly recommend. If you're after a more sedate on-the-water experience, why not take a cruise across Lake Wakatipu aboard the iconic century-old coal-fired steamship, the TSS Earnslaw. The boat departs regularly throughout the day from the steamer wharf dock. The cruise lasts 90 minutes and costs 99 New Zealand dollars. Be there early because it does get busy. The trip takes you across the lake, past the Remarkables mountain range and Cecil Peak, and eventually down to Walter Peak High Country Farm. Even on a cloudy day like today, the views are spectacular and the emerald green coloured water is gorgeous. Inside the boat, there are plenty of places to sit and enjoy the ride. There's also a cafe, licensed bar, and even live music. You can also check out the engine room to see the giant steam engines at work, which is pretty cool. In the bow of the boat is a mini museum with a collection of historical photos of the steamship's former life. The halfway point of the cruise is the beautifully restored wall-to-peak high country farm. The staff actually come out to greet you with a big wave, but the four-legged welcoming party was the absolute best. I had to get back to Queenstown to meet up with a friend, so I didn't stop for lunch here this day, but I definitely want to try it next time I'm in Queenstown, as I've heard that it's really good. For just the cruise only, the cost is 109 New Zealand dollars. For the cruise with the Wall to Peak farm tour, it's 149 New Zealand dollars, and the cruise and barbecue lunch is 189 New Zealand dollars. Once everyone had departed the boat, it was time to head back to Queenstown. As you approach Queenstown, the captain warns everyone about what was about to happen, but it still scared the crap out of me. I can certainly recommend the TSS Earnslaw, as it's the perfect way to experience Lake Wakatipu and some of Queenstown's spectacular alpine scenery. Last but not least, one location you must visit, particularly if you're a photographer, is Frankton Beach, which is about a 10-minute drive from Queenstown. It's a great place for a swim, a picnic, a bike ride, or even a walk. For photographers, it has half a dozen jetties which make fantastic leading lines for your landscape photos, and if it's a calm day, you can get awesome reflections on the water. We hung around for sunset and got lucky with some colour in the sky. After leaving Queenstown the next morning, we had to make a stop in Arrowtown on our way to Wanaka. Arrowtown is a charming slice of history that feels frozen in time. Its quaint streets lined with heritage buildings and boutique shops are perfect for wandering and discovering hidden corners. Walking its streets, you can almost imagine the miners and pioneers who shaped this place over a century ago. Be sure to stop by the famous Arrowtown bakery for a fresh pastry or the local cafes for a hearty lunch, the perfect fuel before exploring the Chinese settlement. Arrowtown's Chinese settlement is a fascinating glimpse into the lives of the miners who came here during the gold rush. These small cottages and gardens tell the story of a hardworking community that played a vital role in the town's history. Walking through the settlement today, you can imagine the challenges they faced and the rich culture they brought with them to this remote corner of New Zealand. One of Arrowtown's most famous historic buildings is the old police camp, which is highly photographed for Instagram. This simple but iconic structure once housed the officers who kept order during the bustling mining days. The Arrow River winds gently through the heart of Arrowtown, offering a peaceful escape from the bustling streets. In spring, the riverbanks come alive with vibrant lupins, painting the landscape in shades of purple, pink and blue. Walking along the river, it's easy to see why this spot is so admired. The combination of sparkling water, colourful flowers, and the surrounding heritage buildings create a scene that's straight out of a postcard. It's worth spending a couple of hours in Arrowtown, as there is so much to see and experience. After soaking in all its history and beauty, it was time to continue our journey. Next stop, the picturesque town of Wanaka. Wanaka is about a 70-minute drive from Queenstown. There are two ways to go, either over the Crown Range or the way we are going, along State Highway 6. I've been to Wanaka a few times, but one place I've always wanted to go is the Wanaka Lavender Farm. As the name suggests, it has 20 acres of beautiful lavender fields, plus farm animals and other display gardens. The entrance is through the gorgeous boutique shop and cafe which sells all things lavender. The farm is open all year round and costs $15 in peak season or $7 the rest of the year. The best time to visit is from December to February. We were there at the end of November and the lavender was only just starting to bloom. But I'm a bit of a garden lover, so I couldn't wait to explore the farm, particularly on a beautiful day like today. Exiting the shop, you enter the farm itself and get your first smell of the lavender with circular rows to walk through. Besides the lavender, there's plenty of manicured gardens to check out which are growing many different varieties of plants, lots of beautiful flowers, as well as herbs, fruits and vegetables. Strolling down the hill, the farm opens up and you will eventually come upon the never-ending rows of lavender. And while the lavender hadn't quite bloomed, it's still a spectacular sight. The surrounding mountains also creates a stunning backdrop. Make sure that you check out the famous purple door which sits amongst the rows of lavender. We did find some beautiful lavender in full bloom, which looked beautiful. Everything is a lavender colour here, even the tractors. The fields and gardens are large enough to accommodate quite a number of guests, so there's still plenty of room for everyone, which was great. The farm also has lots of different farm animals, which are so cute. There's miniature horses, sheep, and pigs. Through the lavender tunnel to the other side of the farm, you'll find goats, which are my favourite, alpacas, and a gorgeous Highland cow. Most of the animals have come here to retire, which is so nice to hear. Of course, there's lots more lavender too. I would definitely add the Wanaka Lavender Farm to your list of must-see things while you're in Wanaka. Before heading into town, we decided to do the 1-hour drive out along State Highway 6 to visit a few waterfalls in Mount Aspiring National Park. This scenic drive takes you through spectacular countryside with steep green fields to the left and Lake Hawea on your right. I'm probably saying that wrong. Surrounded by mountains, Lake Hawea is New Zealand's 9th largest lake and stretches 35 kilometres from north to south. Eventually the roads get a bit windy as you head up to what's known as the Neck, which is a narrow area of land separating Lake Hawea and Lake Wanaka. As you pass through the Neck, you are greeted with magical views of Lake Wanaka. Be warned, even if it's a clear day in Wanaka, as you head to Mount Aspiring National Park, the weather can change very quickly. I think every time I've been here it has rained. The first waterfall to stop at is the pretty Fantail Falls. It's a short 2-minute walk from the car park to the Haast River. Then across the rocks, dodging all the rock piles to view this gorgeous waterfall which stands at 23 meters tall. From Fantail Falls, it's a short 7-minute drive to the next waterfall, Thunder Creek Falls. A 5-minute walk through lush rainforest leads to a platform with spectacular views of the waterfall. Thunder Creek Falls, which gets its name from the creek that feeds it, stands at a whopping 28 meters. The water appears to emerge from the forest above, plummeting down a cliff that is covered in thick green lush vegetation into a pool below, and eventually into the Haast River, which roars past it. It's one of New Zealand's most spectacular waterfalls. One place I really wanted to check out is the fairly secretive gorge at Wilson's Creek, which is located just before Fantail Falls. I've seen incredible photos of it on social media and wanted to see it for myself. Unfortunately, I didn't come properly prepared as it involves a waist-deep creek crossing and the water is freezing. So this is as close as I was prepared to go, but even from here it offers a tantalising taste of what lies around the corner. Maybe next time I can get there. We made it to Wanaka and headed to the famous Wanaka tree, but the weather wasn't great and there was no chance of a decent sunset that night. So instead we headed off for dinner to Big Fig on Ardmore Street. It's really popular with locals offering a range of hot food and salads. I highly recommend it. The next morning the weather had cleared and we headed to the Wanaka tree for sunrise. We were greeted with the full moon setting behind the mountains with the tree in the foreground. We couldn't believe our luck. With the moon setting and the sun about to rise, we waited to see if there'd be any colour, and right on cue. After a fantastic sunrise shoot, it was time for breakfast. The place I would recommend is Scroggin Coffee and Eatery. It's also located on Ardmore Street. I love the relaxed atmosphere here. It's got great coffee and delicious food. For those who don't know, Ardmore Street is one of the main thoroughfares in Wanaka and is lined with shops, restaurants and great cafes. On a perfect day like this, we couldn't resist a walk along the foreshore. Lake Wanaka is 45 kilometres long and covers 193 square kilometres. It is surrounded by the mountains of Mount Aspiring National Park at its north end, while the town sits at the southern end. The foreshore is lined with large willow trees and walking tracks. The lake is perfect for boating, sailing, kayaking, and if you're brave enough like this pooch, even a swim. This jetty, which was being enjoyed by some of the locals, is the perfect vantage point to take in the entire lake with the mountains off in the distance. Keen to get my steps in, we decided to walk along the shoreline in the direction of the Wanaka tree. It's a gorgeous walk through the tall poplar trees that frame views of the lake and give a different perspective of the Wanaka tree. It didn't take us long to reach the walking track leading down to the tree. Unfortunately, in March 2020, the Wanaka tree was vandalised with the bottom two branches being sawn off, so it's important to heed the signs. Photographing the Wanaka tree is on most landscape photographers' bucket lists, so it's almost guaranteed there will be people at the tree throughout the day taking photos. In springtime, bushes of yellow lupins grow at the base of the poplar trees, which creates a nice foreground element. I've been lucky enough to photograph the tree at different times of the year. Here are some of those photos so that you can see it in different seasons and different lighting conditions. After wrapping up our adventures in Wanaka, we set our sights on the stunning Lake Tekapo. But along the way, there are a couple of great places to stop that I recommend that you check out. The first is the Lindis Pass, which is a stunning mountain pass with an awesome lookout. With grass-covered mountains, it makes for a really unique landscape unlike anywhere else in New Zealand and definitely worth the stop. Driving through Lindis Pass in winter is also a pretty spectacular sight to see. Through the Lindis Pass and just on the other side of the town of Omarama is the Ahuriri River Conservation Area, which during springtime is filled with lupins. I have a video on the best spots to see lupins on the South Island and you can watch it here and I'll put a link below. Finally, one place I've never visited but always driven past are the Clay Cliffs, which is not far from the Ahuriri River Conservation Area. Even though it's on private land, people can visit it. There's a donation box at the gate where you can pay the $5 per vehicle. The Clay Cliffs are tall pinnacles separated by narrow ravines and quite a unique sight. They are made up of layers of gravel and silt, originally formed by the flow from ancient glaciers over 1 million years ago. A winding path leads to the cliffs above, but with our journey to Lake Tekapo ahead, time wasn't on our side. Even so, what we saw along the way was simply breathtaking. If you're visiting in spring, there are plenty of lupins around the cliffs and back down at Ahuriri River, which runs beside the cliffs. Lake Tekapo is about 3 hours drive from either Christchurch or Queenstown. The town faces north, looking out across the remarkably blue-coloured lake with the dramatic snow-capped mountains of the Southern Alps in the distance. Besides the lake, Lake Tekapo is well known for the beautiful and very famous Church of the Good Shepherd on the lakefront. While you can park in front of the church, you can also walk from town over the McLaren footbridge that crosses the Tekapo River. It offers incredible views of the lake and surrounding mountains. A word of warning though, it's very popular with tourists, so expect it to be busy most of the time. One of the best times to visit the church is in spring when it is surrounded by the gorgeous lupin flowers. The amount of lupins seem to be determined by the height of the lake. On this trip the water level was quite low, so there weren't as many lupins as I have witnessed on other visits. These photos show what it's like when the lake is full. It looks spectacular. For those of you looking to capture the perfect lupin-gram-worthy selfie, there are plenty of other spots along the shore of the lake to check out, particularly along Lakeside Drive near Lakes Edge Holiday Park, where I captured this rainbow shot. Of course, for landscape photographers, the best time to photograph the Church of the Good Shepherd is either at sunset, when hopefully the crowds have left, or at sunrise when you usually have the place to yourself. If you are looking for a place to grab a coffee or breakfast after your sunrise shoot, I highly recommend the Greedy Cow, but get there early as it's very popular. The food is awesome here. One great way to take in Lake Tekapo and the surrounding countryside is to drive up to Mount John University Observatory. There is an $8 fee to drive to the top of the mountain, which is just over 1,000 metres high. The observatory is run by the University of Canterbury and offers both night and daytime tours. Tekapo is located in the heart of the Aoraki Mackenzie International Dark Sky Reserve and perfect for stargazing and astrophotography. There is a cafe if you want to grab a drink or something to eat, but what you're really here for are the views. You get a magnificent panoramic view of the entire Lake Tekapo and Mackenzie region. The island that you can see in the lake is called Motoriki, and if you walk to the other side of the cafe, you will be able to see nearby Lake Alexandria. But if you really want to get a bird's eye view of Lake Tekapo and Aoraki Mount Cook National Park, then I highly recommend a Scenic flight with Air Safaris, which is located just outside of Lake Tekapo. Their Grand Traverse Scenic flight is approximately 50 minutes of flying time and well worth the 470 New Zealand dollars. The flight path first takes you past the Tekapo River, the township of Lake Tekapo, and then out over the lake itself. It is a sight you won't soon forget. The intense milky turquoise colour comes from the fine rock flour ground by glaciers, which is then suspended in the water. Flying up the lake, you get incredible views of the surrounding mountains, farmland, and remote high country sheep stations. At the far end of the lake is the mouth of the Godley River, which flows from the relatively small Godley Glacier and feeds Lake Tekapo. The amazing braided patterns it makes is like something from another world. The flight continues up the river near Murchison Glacier, New Zealand's second longest. And then into the Aoraki Mount Cook National Park, flying past spectacular snow-covered mountains including Mount Tasman and New Zealand's highest peak, Aoraki Mount Cook. You also get incredible views of the Tasman Lake and Tasman Glacier, which at 29 kilometres is New Zealand's longest glacier. Heading back, you fly past Lake Pukaki and Lake Alexandria. I promise you won't be disappointed with Air Safari's Grand Traverse Scenic flight. About a 30-minute drive from Lake Tekapo is Lake Pukaki, which is the largest of the 3 glacial lakes in the Mackenzie Basin and my personal favourite. The lake is fed at its northern end by the Tasman River, which comes from the Hooker and Tasman Glacier. When the sun hits the surface of the lake, it reflects off the particles, transforming it to a brilliant blue. There are quite a few lookout points around its shores where you can take in Lake Pukaki's spectacular vistas. I recommend the viewpoint at the intersection of State Highway and Hayman Road, the Mount Cook Alpine Salmon Shop car park. But if you're looking to capture photos of lupins with the lake and Aoraki Mount Cook in the background, the best spot is along Hayman Road. The combination of colourful flowers in the foreground, a magnificent blue lake, surrounding snow-capped peaks and wide open skies are a dream for photographers. Aoraki Mount Cook National Park is one of the most spectacular must-see places on the South Island of New Zealand. The drive in along State Highway 80 is truly stunning, with the ice blue Lake Pukaki on your right and glimpses of Mount Cook in the distance. Your first pit stop should be at Pete's Lookout. Here you'll get incredible views of Mount Cook and, if you're lucky, beautiful reflections on Lake Pukaki. The weather in the park can be very unpredictable and can change on a dime, so be prepared. Of the half a dozen times I've visited, I've only had 2 beautiful days of weather here. While it's home to New Zealand's tallest mountain, Aoraki Mount Cook, you don't need to be a mountaineer to experience the park. There are many walking and hiking tracks suitable for people of all ages and fitness levels. The first of the hiking tracks that I suggest you check out is the Tasman Lake and River track. The turnoff to the Tasman Valley is well marked, but I suggest you get here early as the car park fills up very quickly. It's a 50-minute 2.8km return walk along fairly flat ground. You can see what I mean by the weather, as on this day the clouds had moved in, but it didn't seem to bother a couple of the locals. The track is well signed, and when you finally get to the mouth of the Tasman River, you will be greeted by spectacular views of the Tasman Glacier, New Zealand's longest glacier at 23 kilometres, and also the brilliant blue colour of Tasman Lake and hopefully some icebergs. Thankfully, I have been here with clearer conditions and managed to capture it in all its glory. Once you've completed your walk here, it's time to head to Mount Cook Village itself. Thankfully, the weather started to clear and we even spotted a rainbow over the village. The centrepiece of the village is the Hermitage Hotel. There's not many places to buy food in the village, so unless you've brought your own food, your best option is the Sir Edmund Hillary Cafe and Bar. The food is a little overpriced, but the views from the cafe of Mount Cook are incredible. It's only a short drive from the village to White Horse Campground, which is the starting point for what I consider the must-do walk, the Hooker Valley track. The walk follows the Hooker River, ending at the Glacier Lake, where there are amazing views of Mount Cook. Be warned though, on a beautiful spring day like today, the car park and walk can be very busy, but don't let that deter you. The track itself is an easy 10km return walk along well-maintained gravel paths and boardwalks. I would suggest you allow 3 hours to do the entire walk. Also make sure to take plenty of water and snacks to eat along the way, a camera of course, and on a day like today, make sure you apply plenty of sunscreen because it's easy to get burnt. Only 15 minutes into your walk, you'll reach Lake Mueller Lookout, which gives you incredible views of Lake Mueller, Mueller Glacier and the surrounding mountains. You'll also spy the first of 3 swing bridges you will need to cross over on your way to Hooker Lake. The bridges allow you to cross Hooker River and offer stunning views of the mountains and the milky green glacial water flowing below. On busy days like today, it's a good idea to heed to the bridge limit signs. We did the walk during the middle of the day, and as you can see, it was very busy, so if you want to avoid the crowds, go very early or late in the day around sunset. The walk between the first and second swing bridge takes you along the side of Lake Mueller, where there are a few more good vantage points of the lake. It takes about 20 minutes to get to the next swing bridge. Again, the view is amazing. Not far beyond the second bridge, you will reach another vantage point, and it's here you catch your first sight of Mount Cook. It's difficult to describe how incredibly beautiful these majestic mountains are. The video really doesn't do it justice. It's something that you have to experience in person. From here, every step you take offers a different view of Mount Cook, with the Hooker River or the beautiful alpine fields in the foreground. One important note is that there is a public toilet along the track, but as it's a drop toilet, I would only use it if absolutely necessary. Mind you, that is a pretty awesome view from a toilet. The walk from here to the third swing bridge takes you over a crystal clear alpine creek. And onto a long twist and turning boardwalk across a grassy alpine field. The leading lines of this boardwalk and Mount Cook in the background are a perfect photo opportunity. It can be a bit tricky to get the perfect selfie when it's busy, but it's well worth it. Reaching the third swing bridge means you're only about another 15 minutes from Hooker Lake. Before you get there though, make sure you take the very short detour to signed Alpine Tarn, which is a small pool of water which, if photographed from the right angle and in calm conditions, offers a great reflection shot of Mount Cook. From here, it's only a short 5-minute uphill walk to Hooker Lake. And wow, what a view! At the far end of the lake is Mount Cook, which stands at 12,316 feet, while on either side you are surrounded by more towering mountains. It's incredible. There are tables to sit at if you've brought your lunch or just need a break to take in the view. Make sure you walk down to the lakeside so you can fully appreciate this incredible place. Depending on the time of year you visit, the lake could be filled with icebergs, and the water can look like it's milky green or even a vibrant blue. The Hooker Valley Walk is, for me, a must-do on your visit to Mount Cook National Park. With daylight to spare, we managed to squeeze in an incredible scenic flight with Mount Cook ski planes and helicopters. It's an amazing alternative to the Lake Tekapo flight, especially if you can only pick one, because this one lands right on the Tasman Glacier. It's truly amazing. The views were incredible, with the flight taking us up the Tasman Valley, around the Southern Alps, past Mount Cook, eventually landing on the glacier. We were allowed to get out and take some photos before the scenic flight home. It's an experience I won't forget soon. And that wraps up an unforgettable week exploring New Zealand's South Island, a place of towering peaks, turquoise lakes, and endless adventure. If this video gave you some travel inspiration, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more adventures like this. Drop a comment and tell me which place you'd love to visit. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next one.